Sometimes you see a company make a move, and it's like, whoa, okay, this is a sign of something way bigger about to happen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we saw this week over in the digital asset world.
Oh yeah? Tell me about it.
Ripple just dropped a cool $1.25 billion to buy up a company called Hidden Road.
That's a pretty serious chunk of change.
Yeah, and it definitely makes you wonder what they're thinking long term. You don't just casually throw around that kind of money unless you got some pretty major plans brewing. And that's exactly why we're here today, diving deep into this whole situation.
Absolutely love a good deep dive.
We've got a really in-depth article from TradingView News all about this acquisition, and we're going to break it down. Figure out the why, the what, and most importantly, what does this mean for you, for all of us keeping tabs on how this whole digital asset world is changing, right?
Couldn't have said it better myself. So first things first, Ripple's got a pretty clear idea of where they want to be in the future of finance, right?
Oh, yeah. They've been pretty vocal about it. Their goal is to become the main infrastructure provider for big institutions like the traditional finance giants as they start dipping their toes into digital assets.
So they want to be the bridge between the old and the new.
Exactly. The bridge that makes the whole transition smooth and efficient. They want to make it so that these big players can move into the digital space without any hiccups.
And it sounds like this acquisition of Hidden Road is a big step in that direction.
It's a huge step.
So for those who haven't heard of them before, what exactly is Hidden Road? What do they bring to the table?
Think of them as the behind-the-scenes wizards of the financial world. They're a brokerage, clearing, and financing firm.
Okay, and what does that mean in plain English?
They handle all the complicated stuff that goes on behind a trade. They match buyers and sellers, make sure everything settles correctly, and sometimes even provide the credit needed to make these huge transactions happen, especially in the wild west of digital assets.
So, the grease that keeps the gears turning.
Exactly, and here's the kicker. They're already operating at a massive scale.
We're talking about $3 trillion in annual volume.
Whoa, 3 trillion with a T. That's not chump change.
Not at all. It shows that they're already a major player in the financial world. They're moving a huge amount of value, and Ripple clearly sees that as a major asset.
It's not just the money, though, right? It's also their expertise and their existing relationships.
Exactly. Ripple is getting access to Hidden Road's knowledge, their technology, and their connections. It's like they're getting a fast pass to the big leagues of institutional trading.
So it's not just any acquisition. It's a very strategic one.
It's very strategic. And that's one of the things the article highlights. It points out that Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse specifically mentioned a long-standing customer relationship between the two companies.
So they already knew each other pretty well.
Yeah, they've been working together for a while, right? Which means that Ripple had a really good look under the hood at Hidden Road. They knew exactly what they were getting, and they knew it was exactly what they needed.
Garlinghouse even called them a prime candidate for acquisition.
Exactly. That tells you that Ripple had a very specific set of criteria, and Hidden Road checked all the boxes. Maybe they looked at other companies in the space, but none of them fit the bill quite like Hidden Road.
Sounds like they knew exactly who they wanted.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so interesting. Now we get to see how they're going to put all the pieces together, right? Because the article mentions something about integrating the XRP ledger into Hidden Road's operations.
Yeah, that's the exciting part.
But for those of us who aren't tech wizards, what does that actually mean in practical terms? How does that impact Hidden Road's clients?
It all boils down to efficiency. The XRP ledger is designed for speed and low cost.
Things will get faster and cheaper.
Much faster and much cheaper. Think of it like sending money across the world in an instant for practically nothing. By using the XRP ledger, Hidden Road can offer their clients something that traditional banks just can't match.
So, we could see a big chunk of that $3 trillion in annual volume flowing to the XRP ledger.
It's definitely possible, and that would be huge for Ripple and for the XRP ecosystem as a whole. It would be a major vote of confidence in their technology and their vision.
So not only is Ripple getting their hands on Hidden Road's existing infrastructure, but they're also bringing in a whole new level of efficiency.
And it goes even deeper than that. The article also talks about the potential for using Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin as collateral for Hidden Road's brokerage services.
Okay, I'm going to need a quick explainer on stablecoins. First, what are they? And second, how would they be used here?
A stablecoin is basically a digital currency that's pegged to something stable, like the US dollar.
Yeah,
So unlike Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, it's not going to fluctuate wildly in value.
so it's more predictable.
Exactly, which makes it ideal for use as collateral because you don't have to worry about sudden price swings. So in this case, Hidden Road could use RLUSD to back up its brokerage services, which would further integrate Ripple's technology into the mix.
So it's not just buying a company, it's like Ripple is giving their existing system a massive upgrade.
It's a full-on system upgrade, and the effects are going to be felt far beyond Hidden Road itself. The article quotes Garlinghouse as saying that Hidden Road will be able to exponentially expand its capacity with Ripple's support.
So they're expecting big things.
Huge things.
Yeah, Garlinghouse thinks that Hidden Road could become the largest non-bank prime broker globally.
That's a bold statement.
It is. But with Ripple's backing, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And for Ripple, the bigger Hidden Road gets, the more transactions they can process across their own platforms. It's a win-win situation.
They're both helping each other grow.
Exactly. And this acquisition isn't happening in a vacuum. Ripple's been making other strategic moves lately too. Remember their acquisition of Standard Custody back in February of 24?
Oh yeah, I remember that deal. Remind me what Standard Custody was all about.
They were all about digital asset custody solutions. Basically, they provided a safe and regulated way for institutions to store their digital assets.
So, like a high-tech vault for crypto.
Exactly. And by acquiring them, Ripple showed that they were serious about providing the kind of security that institutional investors need.
So now they have Standard Custody for the safekeeping and Hidden Road for the trading and financing. It's starting to look like they're building a complete package specifically for institutions who want to get into digital assets.
That's the big picture. They wanted to be the one-stop shop for institutions. Everything from storage to trading to everything in between.
So how did the market react to this billion-dollar move? Did people go crazy for XRP?
Well, that's the interesting part. The article says that the market's reaction was kind of muted. XRP is still trading below that $2 resistance level. It was hitting around 196 at the time of writing.
Huh, that's surprising. I would have expected a bigger jump after such a major announcement.
You would think so, right? Especially because the article mentions that XRP did see an almost 10% increase in the 24 hours leading up to the news. But that initial excitement seems to have fizzled out.
So maybe people are still a little hesitant about XRP.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just a reflection of the broader market sentiment. The crypto market as a whole has been facing some headwinds lately, and that can dampen enthusiasm even for good news.
And it wasn't just the price that was muted, right? The trading volume for XRP also took a hit.
Yeah. The article mentions a notable decline of around 24% in the last day. So even though there was some initial excitement, it doesn't seem to have translated into sustained trading activity.
So less people are buying and selling.
Exactly. Which suggests that there's still a level of caution among investors. They're not quite ready to jump back in with both feet.
Which brings us to the last point the article makes about XRP being heavily influenced by Bitcoin.
Right? The article says that XRP's recovery is still very dependent on how Bitcoin performs. Bitcoin is kind of like the leader of the pack, and the rest of the market tends to follow its lead.
So even if there's positive news specifically for XRP, it can still be dragged down if Bitcoin is having a bad day.
Exactly. It shows how interconnected everything is in the crypto world.
So to sum it all up, this acquisition of Hidden Road is a really big deal for Ripple. It shows that they're all in on institutional adoption and they're putting their money where their mouth is.
And they're not just throwing money at the problem, they're making smart strategic moves to build out a comprehensive suite of services that caters specifically to the needs of institutional investors.
And if they're successful, it could have a huge impact on the whole digital asset landscape.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We could see faster and cheaper transactions, a massive increase in the amount of value being moved through the XRP ledger, and a blurring of the lines between traditional finance and the world of digital assets.
It's like we're watching a whole new financial system taking shape right before our eyes.
It's exciting and a little bit scary all at the same time. So here's something for everyone to think about. Given Ripple's focus on custody and now brokerage, What other parts of traditional finance could they set their sights on next? And if they keep expanding at this rate, what will it mean for the future of digital assets?
It's a question worth pondering because the decisions Ripple makes today could have ripple effects throughout the entire ecosystem for years to come.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all the time we have for today, but keep those questions in mind and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you then.